China understands soft power via their tech monopolies. They are masters at wielding this. If we are limiting Facebook from innovating, which seems bizarre, are we actually handicapping our own US tech companies to really have influence? The hierarchy can go up or down, but right now I'd say Zuckerberg is actually pretty high in the moral hierarchy of US tech companies when it comes to their decisions to not go into places like China. This morning, bright and early, I think 6:20 a.m., I joined Maria Bartiromo on her show on Fox Business, and we spoke about Amazon and we spoke about Facebook.
Big tech facing a possible reckoning with executives like Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg under scrutiny. What's your take in terms of where this is going? In terms of you've got testifying about election interference, honest advertising, of course, breaches in privacy. What kind of regulation changes might you expect?
Net, I am very positive on Zuckerberg, and especially the stance that he's taking. I don't think Congress gives the American people enough respect or credit for their ability to think for themselves. I think, on the Libra topic, it's going to be a positive thing for America to innovate. You look at what Congress is beating Zuckerberg up on. It's actually kind of anti-American, right? It's saying, well, we don't want you to innovate, particularly when your product will be used abroad, which will only help America's influence abroad, A. B, we want you to regulate more aggressively, basically free speech on your platform called Facebook. It just doesn't really resonate with, I think, our value system and what we stand for. Okay. So, what I was talking about there is basically what Zuckerberg, I think, testified yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday. And, about Libra. And there are two caveats to what I was talking about there, which I'm going to get to. But one of the things Zuckerberg mentioned is that there's 1 billion people underbanked or underserved by the current just financial infrastructure globally. And what I was talking about there is that where do we think those 1 billion people exist? Maybe somewhere in the United States, sure. But
it's not your average Bank of America user. It's people in developing markets and emerging markets where there isn't a lot of infrastructure. You have people that don't have bank accounts, or you have there's a lot of people that might have a bank account but never use it and don't really know.
Yeah, they just
how and then
they can't get access to the modern day just financial ecosystem. Right. And that's kind of what that underbanked term refers to. And what I go on to talk about is, China understands this very well. China understands soft power via their tech monopolies. They are masters at wielding this and supporting their tech monopolies abroad so that selfishly they can impose what they want when the time comes. And we're seeing that play out with Tencent, the NBA, which we've spoken about many times on the show. What this is getting at, though, is to say if we are limiting Facebook from innovating, which seems bizarre, are we actually handicapping our own U.S. tech companies to really have influence? Some influence, sure, in the U.S., sure, but more so abroad. And why would we want to do that? Now, if Congress wanted to actually be productive, and look, when I say Congress doesn't actually give enough the American people the respect they deserve, that basically, I didn't want to say this on Fox. Basically, I think that Congress thinks the average American is stupid and that these people need to be shielded from all of these horrible bad actors called tech companies, and that the American people can't make these decisions on their own. Where else have we seen this? We saw this when we were talking about giving Americans the ability to have their health records go into Apple Health, and all of the flack that was created to prevent that from happening, because Americans don't understand what happens when they give their health record to Apple Health. So you kind of see this script playing itself out again and again. Well, here's the irony. The joke is actually on Congress. I think Congress is actually the stupid one that doesn't understand what they should be actually talking about. If this wanted to be a productive interview or hearing with Zuckerberg, the two things I would drill in on would be, why is Libra founded and based in Switzerland? That should be based in the United States. and drilling him on that. That would be point number one, right?
Because they have the best regulatory regime he could shop around for is really the real answer.
Well, exactly. So, right, if you're saying, hey, we want to be innovative, we want to support our tech companies, we want America to be stronger because we are the United States Congress, right? And we say, okay, maybe I should get behind this Libra thing because probably China will do this. If
China is looking at doing cryptocurrencies, their central bank has been exploring this for at least a couple of years.
Exactly. So then you say, okay, hey, maybe we should do this, but how can we make sure that this is done in the right way, which is what these hearings are supposed to be about. And then you say, okay, maybe Libra, because Code Libra is the operating entity, which is based in the US, but the actual Libra cryptocurrency entity is as currently designed based in Switzerland.
The Libra organization, basically the consortium of companies that make up that, it's based in Switzerland.
Why shouldn't that be based in the US? That'd be number one. Number two would be this basket that Zuckerberg and Libra is saying we're going to create a basket of real world hard currencies to help back the crypto. And what they've said is that that's going to be a mixture of a variety of different currencies. And then again, being selfish U.S. congressperson.
Well, didn't he make explicitly the argument that they should be backing this because it's going to basically be an expansion of the U.S. dollar and help establish that as a, continue that as a reserve currency because it'd be mostly U.S. dollar. I think he said that, didn't he?
He may have, but I would, but it should be all U.S. dollars. So you should really be driving home that point home more aggressively and focusing on that stuff. I think he made it as a subtle point. You're right, but I don't know. It just seems everyone focuses on the wrong thing. Everyone just wants to beat up on Zuckerberg. I'd say in the moral hierarchy of tech monopolies, the hierarchy can go up or down. But right now, I'd say Zuckerberg is actually pretty high in the moral hierarchy of U.S. tech companies when it comes to their decisions to not go into places like China because
he tried.
He tried to go, but then they said you got to put your servers
I think you're
here.
giving a little too much credit. He learned Mandarin for several years very aggressively, and it wasn't because he just thought it would be fun.
He wanted to go into China, but he didn't end up going into China. There's a line, and it was, well, I'm not going to give China my data. I'm sure there's other things involved in that.
I think it's probably more I didn't want China to steal my IP. And
yes,
give it to
exactly.
else,
I didn't want China to steal my IP. But, I would say, again, on the hierarchy of morals, actually, he can speak for having done that much more so than other U.S. tech companies like Google and Apple and a few other folks that we've been talking about on the show. So, not saying Zuckerberg is perfect, but I don't think he's getting a fair rap on this currently, and people are focusing on the wrong things. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.